You are completely broke, and it is not your fault. Let me say that again because nobody has ever said this to you directly. You are broke, financially stuck, or just getting by, and the system was never designed to fix that for you. Think about the last time you checked your bank account. Maybe it was this morning, maybe it was last night, but there was that 1 second, that one quiet, painful second, where you felt that knot in your chest. That mix of anxiety and embarrassment and this vague, creeping fear that maybe this is just how your life is going to be. You closed the app, you moved on, you told yourself you would figure it out later. I have been there. Honestly, I sat in that exact spot less than 3 years ago, refreshing my account balance like somehow the number would change if I just looked at it enough times. It never did. Here is something that will shock you. The average American between the ages of 18 and 35 saves less than 5% of what they earn, and almost 40% of Americans could not cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. $400. One car repair, one unexpected bill, one bad week, and nearly half the country is already underwater. And these are people who are working. These are people with jobs, with degrees, with ambitions. Smart people, hardworking people, people exactly like you. So if you have been wondering why nobody taught you how money actually works, this video is going to answer that. By the time this video ends, you are going to understand the exact rules that built the wealthiest people in history, from ancient Babylon to Silicon Valley. Not theory, not vague motivation, real, specific, timeless rules that you can start using today, starting from your very next paycheck. So stay with me, this one actually matters. Here is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The reason you do not know how money works is not because you are lazy. It is not because you did not pay attention in school. It is because school was never designed to teach you this. Think about that for a second. 13 years of formal education. Math, history, literature, biology, not one semester on how compound interest works in your favor. Not one class on why debt is designed the way it is. Not one honest conversation about why some people keep getting richer while working less and others keep working more while falling further behind. This is not an accident. The economy runs on people spending money they do not have, on things they do not need, using credit that quietly costs them everything. Banks profit when you carry a balance. Credit card companies profit when you make the minimum payment. Advertisers profit when you feel like you need the newest thing to feel good about yourself. The whole system is engineered, specifically deliberately engineered, to keep money moving out of your pocket and into someone else's. You were never meant to learn the other side of the equation, the side where money works for you instead of against you. But here is the thing, and this is where everything changes. The rules that make money work for you are not secret. They are not complicated. They have actually been around for over 4,000 years. They just never made it into your textbook. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. The game looks completely different from this side. Money is a skill. That is the most important reframe in this entire video. It is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born into. It is not luck. It is a learnable, practicable, improvable skill. The same way cooking is a skill. The same way driving is a skill. You were not born knowing how to drive. Someone sat you down, explained the rules, let you practice, and eventually it became second nature. Building wealth works exactly the same way. The people who are winning financially are not smarter than you. They just learned a different set of rules earlier. And today, you are learning those rules. The book that holds these rules is called The Richest Man in Babylon, written by George S. Clason in 1926. It is written as a collection of parables set in ancient Babylon, the richest city in the ancient world, and it has quietly shaped the financial thinking of more wealthy people than almost any other book ever written. Warren Buffett has praised its principles. Millions of people have built their financial lives on its foundation, and the reason it has lasted 100 years is simple. Human nature does not change. The way money works does not change. And the lessons inside this book are as sharp and relevant today as they were when Babylon was standing. Let us get into it. The first and most important lesson in this entire book is what Clason calls the cure for a lean purse. And it sounds almost insultingly simple when you first hear it. Keep a part of all you earn. That is it. For every dollar that comes into your hands, keep at least one dime before you spend anything else. 10%. Off the top. Before rent, before food, before your subscriptions, before everything. Pay yourself first. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking you barely have enough to cover what you already have. But here is the thing that will rearrange your brain when you really sit with it. The people who wait until the end of the month to see what is left over before they save never end up saving anything, because there is never anything left. Expenses always expand to fill whatever income is available. This is not a character flaw, it is just how money psychologically works. The fix is mechanical. Take your 10% first, then live on the rest. You will adjust. Humans are unbelievably adaptable. Your expenses will reorganize themselves around what is available. Today, not next month. Open a separate savings account and set up an automatic transfer of 10% every single time you get paid. Even if it is $10, you are building the habit, not just the balance. Now, the next lesson hits differently once you understand the first one. Clason introduces this idea through a character named Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, who explains that keeping your gold is only the beginning. The money you save must then go to work. He calls it making your gold multiply. And the modern version of this is what we call investing. Every coin you save is a worker, and that worker can hire other workers in the form of returns, dividends, interest. And those workers hire more workers. This is compound growth, and it is genuinely the most powerful force in personal finance. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He may or may not have actually said that, but whoever said it was right. Here is a real-world example that will make your stomach drop. If you invest just $200 a month starting at age 22 and you earn an average annual return of 8%, which is historically reasonable for a broad index fund, by age 62 you will have over $700,000, $200 a month, the kind of money most people spend on eating out and streaming services combined. But if you wait until 30 to start that same habit, you end up with only $300,000. Same money per month, same return rate, 8 years later, and you lose $400,000 just from waiting. The money you do not invest today is not neutral. It is actively costing you. So today, look up one index fund, something like a total market or S&P 500 fund, and put even one small amount into it. The first step costs 10 minutes and zero expertise. Here is where the book gets even more interesting. Clason spends serious time on this principle. Guard your treasures from loss. He writes that the first rule of investing is to protect what you have already saved. In Babylon, Arkad warns against the excitement of a fast return. He says the desire for haste in growing rich has destroyed more potential fortunes than almost anything else. And if you look around today, nothing has changed. Crypto schemes, get-rich-quick courses, day trading on an app that gamifies the whole thing, these are the modern version of the same trap that took down men in ancient Babylon. The urge to double your money fast is not ambition. It is impatience in a very expensive costume. Real wealth is boring. Real wealth is consistent. Real wealth is putting money into reliable vehicles, diversified investments, real estate, businesses with real fundamentals, and giving it time. The practical action here is to run every investment opportunity through one filter before you put a single dollar in. Do I fully understand how this makes money? If the answer is no, or even mostly no, you walk away. Confusion is the environment where scams survive. The next lesson in the book is the one that most people need to hear but do not want to. Clason calls it making your dwelling a profitable investment. And what he means is this: your home, your life setup, the physical environment you live in should be a source of stability, not a source of financial bleeding. In Babylon, Arkad talks about the difference between a man who rents all his life, building nothing, versus a man who invests wisely in property he actually owns and builds equity over time. Now, in today's world, this does not always mean rushing to buy a house. Real estate markets vary wildly, and buying at the wrong time in the wrong market can hurt you. But the principle underneath is this: stop paying forever for things that build nothing for you while neglecting the things that could build something real. Look at your monthly expenses. What are you paying for that returns you nothing? Not joy, not growth, not connection. Just habit? Cancel one thing today. Put that money somewhere it grows. Now here is the lesson that stops most people cold because it feels counterintuitive. The book teaches what Clason calls insuring a future income. And it means this: the time to prepare for the future is while you still have income coming in, not when things go wrong, not during the crisis, before it. Arkad talks about a man who diligently sets aside money not just for growth but for protection, a cushion that can carry him through illness, job loss, unexpected hardship. Your emergency fund is not a boring idea. It is your personal insurance policy against the world's unpredictability. Without it, every single financial setback becomes a catastrophe. With it, setbacks are inconveniences. The goal is 3 to 6 months of your core expenses sitting in a liquid account you do not touch unless something actually breaks. Build toward it slowly. If you can only put $20 in it this week, put $20 in it. The number grows. The habit is what matters first. The last major lesson from this book is perhaps its most philosophical, and it is the one that separates people who read about wealth from people who actually build it. Clason calls it increasing your ability to earn. He writes that the more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. Arcad himself, the richest man in the city, says that his wealth started not with gold but with knowledge. He invested in himself relentlessly, learning his trade more deeply, studying from those who knew more than him, practicing skills that made him more valuable. Today we call this human capital, and it is the one investment that can never be taken from you, that grows with compound interest the same way money does, and that opens doors that no account balance alone can open. What is one skill, one specific marketable skill, that would make you worth more to an employer, a client, or your own business in 12 months if you dedicated focused time to it starting now? Not a vague self-improvement idea. One specific skill. Find one course, one resource, one mentor, one practice routine for that skill, and engage with it today. Now let me tell you about someone who put all of this together. There is a man named John Rampton, an entrepreneur who was deep in debt, financially illiterate by his own admission, living paycheck to paycheck in his mid-20s while building a business that was barely surviving. He came across The Richest Man in Babylon on a recommendation and read it in a single weekend. He has said publicly that it was embarrassingly simple. That was the word he used, embarrassing, because the concepts were so basic and yet he had been violating all of them his entire adult life. He implemented the pay yourself first rule immediately. Not perfectly, not dramatically. He started with 5% because 10 felt impossible. Within 6 months, he had his first real savings buffer. Within a year, he had moved it to 12%. He redirected that capital into small, boring index fund investments. He cut expenses that were draining him without giving back anything real. He upskilled aggressively in digital marketing, which was the core of his business. Within 5 years, he had built a company that sold for a number that would make your jaw drop. He has credited these principles, ancient principles written in a book set in a desert city that no longer exists, with transforming not just his bank account but his entire relationship with himself. Because when you are no longer financially afraid, everything changes. Your decisions change, your relationships change, your self-image changes. If he could take ancient Babylonian wisdom and build something real with it, there is absolutely no reason you cannot do the same. So here is your challenge, right now. Not this weekend, not after you finish this episode, not when things settle down, right now. Open your banking app or your financial app or whatever you use. Look at what came in this month. Calculate 10% of it. Move it. Even if it is $20, even if it is $50, move it into a separate account you do not scroll past casually. Name the account something that means something to you. Future, freedom, the life, whatever makes it feel real. That is your first step. That is the first move Arcad would have told you to make. And the moment you make it, something shifts. It is small, it is quiet, but it shifts. You will feel the difference between someone who talks about being better with money and someone who has actually started. Now close your eyes for just a second and imagine the version of you that has been doing this for 2 years. You wake up and you do not feel that knot in your chest when you think about money. Your emergency fund exists. It is real. It is sitting there, and it means that a bad week stays a bad week instead of becoming a crisis. Your investments are growing quietly in the background, working while you sleep, compounding week after week, month after month. You are not rich yet, and that is not the point. The point is that you are not afraid anymore. At work, you are performing at a higher level because you invested in your skills. You are being considered for opportunities that used to feel like they were meant for other people. The people around you notice something different about you. A steadiness, a confidence, a groundedness. In your relationships, you show up differently because financial stress is no longer quietly poisoning every interaction. You are present, you are clear, you are building something, and you can feel it every single day. That version of you exists. That life is not a fantasy. That is just what happens when you take the rules seriously and give them time. Here is the truth that this book and this video and everything in between has been building toward. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not the exception to the rules of financial success. The only thing that was ever missing was information. The specific, practical, timeless information that the richest city in the ancient world figured out 4,000 years ago and that nobody saw fit to put in your curriculum. You are capable of this, not someday, not after some transformation, right now, today, with exactly the life you have and exactly the income you are working with. The principles do not require wealth to start. They require one decision, one dime out of every dollar, one step in the right direction. If this video gave you even one thing that changed how you see money, hit subscribe right now, because this channel exists to give you the financial education that the system never did. Like this video and share it with someone in your life who needs to hear this today. A friend, a sibling, a roommate, because this information is too important to sit in your watch history alone. Your story is not over. It is just getting started.